Hello everyone, it's Thursday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Hello, Mariam Longe. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. I just wanted to say that today is the day to just hail Lagos State and Lagos State Governor. So yesterday I used the one of the new bridges, the one that leads to the Yaba area. It takes you from that Tejosho area and all the way to Ojoelegba, and a huge difference. Usually, before this bridge, when you're going to that Tejosho area, you'll be caught up in traffic for a very long time. Everybody all around you, but now you can go right across it, across it with on the bridge, or if you are able to drive down, it's so easily, so seamless.
I
just want to say,
try that bridge.
Well done. And I said this because I've just been, putting my ears down to hear what people have to say about the blue line. Yes, I haven't heard anything. I said, Nigerians, when it's bad, we will be screaming and shouting. When it's good, nobody says anything.
Keep quiet.
But, I had to ask specific people, and they're like, oh, we're using it, it's doing well. I said, okay, talk about it. Let people know that it's working and it's, changing lives.
Fantastic.
Well done, Lagos.
Singaporean, welcome to Nigeria. How was your trip?
I had a very beautiful time in Singapore, and you're reminded of the power of continuation when you have a vision and it continues. I saw all the greenery, and my husband told me that when former governor of Lagos, Fashola, came, he took a delegate of Lagosians to see what they've done with the greenery in Singapore, and that was when he started planting everywhere. And I imagine what would have happened if 12 years now, all those trees were maintained, the greens were maintained, how beautiful Lagos would look. We need to maintain. It's not about having good ideas, it's about consistency of following through with the simplest things. You see massive improvement. So I'm back here, I'm happy. I want to continue maintaining my business. So we are doing sales at Rep 360. Come and buy land.
Let us enjoy your presence first.
Welcome back.
Welcome back first.
You're already selling market. This way.
No.
Money is needed. Singaporean dollar is almost at par with the American dollar. That's at 1,000 naira per dollar. So when you buy food, you buy $10 food. In actual fact, you have spent 15,000 naira buying. No.
But how was the scenery, ambience?
It shows that you can build your country around tourism. Because everything, there's a tourist attraction. And that's it. You will go from one tourist point to the other. They'll tell you, have you done this one? Have you done that one? The entire, we can't, and it's not very big, like Ikeja. You can turn the entire Ikeja into a tourist. You can turn Badagry to tourist attraction. You have different tourist attractions in Ekpe, and people will just fly down there, have fun for like 10 days. You will make plenty money as a country, and they go. So there's opportunity everywhere. Just continue consistently in implementing the good ideas.
How are you doing, Obiachilu?
Wow, this one is a session. We're doing well. I'm doing well. I'm grateful to God for everything. Welcome back,
Thank
Singaporean. That's basically all. I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm just happy. There's a lot happening in my life. Pretty excited about the future and see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Let's go on a quick break now. We'll come back. We'll look at the front pages of the paper. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Okay, we're going to start with the nation. Speaker Aiyedatiwa to send quit letter. President seeks $8.6 billion and 100 million euros loan to improve livelihood. Fulfill $100 billion pledge on climate change, Tinubu tells US and the EU. Emefiele yet to meet bail conditions back in prison. Obaseki should have consulted me on successor, says Shaibu. Okay, which story? Let me start with the climate change conference. Our president will take advantage of this year's edition of the climate change conference happening in Dubai to remind developed nations and the EU of their pledge to boost localized initiatives against climate change related challenges with $100 billion annually. The president will today in Dubai, he's actually in Dubai right now, to participate in 28th United Nations COP28 as special advisor on the on media publicity. Ngali mentioned to us. The theme this year is Unite, Act and Deliver. And President will, among others, deliver a national statement highlighting Nigeria's stance on renewable energy and climate financing. I'm pretty excited about that because we have an in-house person who is really into climate change, Mariam Lunge, so hopefully we'll be monitoring the story and see how we can get you in that space. Yes, any other story?
Yes, it's also our president has asked the National Assembly for an approval to obtain a loan of $8.6 billion and 100 million euros. It's part of the federal government's 2022 to 2024 external borrowing plan. The president also stated that the World Bank and the African Development Bank intend to provide $1 billion and $1.5 billion respectively. The President is asking, that the Senate should look at it for, to ensure prompt implementation. The Senate are looking at it. They said they've requested the Senate Committee on Foreign and Local Debts for further legislative work, and they'll meet again in about a week at plenary. But this borrowing is specifically for some projects, and they said this project cuts across infrastructure, agriculture, health, water supply, road security, and employment generation, as well as financial management reforms. And also, they say these projects are selected based on economic evaluations, as well as expected contributions to the socio-economic development of the country, including employment generation, skills acquisition, support towards emergence of more entrepreneurs, poverty reduction, and food security to improve the livelihood in all 36 states of the federal capital. So this is, really to help boost the country socioeconomically. The president is saying if we need to take the country out of, the poverty that we're facing now, the hard times we're facing now, this borrowing is quite important. So the Senate will sit on it and deliberate on it, and in a week we'll know what their stance is.
Okay. So former Central Bank of Nigeria, Governor Godwin Emefiele, has not been able to perfect his 300 million naira bill granted him by the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory on November 22nd. So he was returned back to Kuje prison straight from the court yesterday, and we know that he's standing trial on a 5-count charge filed against him by the federal government through the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation. Now, the ex-CBN governor was accused of conferring corrupt advantage on himself, contrary to Section 19 of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act of 2000. And he's being held in Kuje prison, was brought to court from Kuje prison yesterday by heavily armed prison officials. And his lawyer was saying that they are making efforts to see how they can ramp up with the 300 million for bail and see how they can, bail him before this week runs out. So let's see how that goes. But he's been returned back to Kuje prison.
So following up on the story of what's been happening in Ondo State, the political crisis took a new turn yesterday. The Deputy Governor Ayida Tiwa is expected to sign an undated resignation letter. This is according to the Speaker of the House of Assembly. He said this is part of the conditions that were reached from the peace parley they had with the president. He mentioned the fact that some of the people within the floor of the assembly were asking for him to be brought in as the acting governor. He said the peace parley already, he was reading out, he signed an agreement that part of the agreement they reached to achieve this peace is that they would maintain status quo. They don't want a division where the deputy governor might be seeking to act. He should not seek a vendetta against the team. They should maintain APC political structure. They also, part of the things they agreed was that he wasn't going to become the acting governor. He will remain deputy governor, but he will be doing the work of the acting governor. And the assembly would not, what they were planning to do, impeach him anymore. The impeachment moves will be stopped. His court cases against the government to be stopped. His expectation to become acting governor will not happen. He would function as deputy governor. He would sign an undated resignation letter that in case he wants to do shakara, they will just put a date in front of the resignation letter and take him out. But according to them, this is democracy at work, which is a participatory process of guiding the people. I doubt it, and I'm not sure. I don't know what other people will say. But if it gives them peace of mind and it gives Ondo State peace and good governance, I'm happy, you know. But it just smells fishy about this entire thing right from the beginning.
As been saying, there's a constitution already guiding this.
They should just follow the
Follow the rule of law. All this your peace parley and behind the scene. There's no need.
Moving on now to the Punch. Bank recapitalization. FG back CBN. Investors rush for mega bank stocks. FCT police nab suspected murderer. Kidnappers recover arms. Emefiele fails to perfect bail. EFCC opens 1.2 billion naira trial. Coup scared. 34 declared wanted. ECOWAS team arrives Sierra Leone. Boko Haram terrorists behead 11 Borno loggers. Borno loggers, I believe.
Borno
loggers, yeah. Ondo crisis worsens. Assembly demands Aiyedatiwa's resignation, and Supreme Court. NJC screens 22 nominees, candidates face DSS and others. Okay, let's take one story for the break. We don't have time for that. Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at the review of the paper. Stay with us. We'll continue.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
It's like every other year, my wife has to paint and her own kind of budget just...
Gentlemen, make welcome Pioneer Positive Force member, dancing queen of the 80s, non-conformist, Afrobeat historian in her right, and long-standing member of the multiple award-winning all-female show Your View, Omoyeni Yeni Anikulapo Kuti, aka YK Power! Ginger,
take it.
Today we'll go here.
Hey, I didn't read you.
Are you sure?
I know I'm not here to answer questions. I'm here to drink.
We're in trouble today.
Wait till your age.
I was close now.
I
said 1975.
He said 73. He said 75. Fellas wasn't even born till 75.
So will I drink half?
You go drink. Take. Make I help you. Russian.
No be half.
Which half? You will make me drink. I'll give you a hint.
Lights in no. Nepa Road. Nepa Road in Abeokuta.
First of all, my brain cannot memorize everything.
A big black bug.
A big black dog.
Bug. A big black bug.
Oh, sorry. A big.
It all starts.
Omo ọmọ fẹlá. Ọmọ Anikulapo Kuti. Wọ́n rò pé kíni kékeré yìí.
It's by Audison. It's not by Audison.
A bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your...
Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing Punch. Mariam, want to start with the story?
Yes. So, suspected Boko Haram terrorists have ambushed and beheaded no fewer than 11 loggers in Damboa local government area of Borno State. according to reports, they said that on this particular, at 6:30 p.m. on Sunday, November 25th, these loggers, what they would normally do is also burn the logs into charcoal, and while they were there, they were ambushed by suspected Boko Haram terrorists. They had come on camel backs, and when they ambushed them, they said immediately, you know, the loggers were asking for mercy, begging for their lives. They didn't listen. Immediately, they said they dismembered about 11 of them. First, 6 bodies were found, eventually 5 more bodies. Many of them we had also escaped. For those who went to investigate after the incident, said that they could tell that they were on camel backs because they could see the hoof prints in the ground, and they also believe that a lot more people were able to escape because they were not on horseback, which would have been easier for them to chase people down. So they hope that eventually people will start coming out of the bushes to give like a eyewitness account. But that's what has happened right now. It's a very sad situation, and may their souls rest in peace. And I think the police will now start investigating and looking for those who committed these atrocities.
Yeah, I have another human interest story. The family of Daniel Oyedokun has been thrown into mourning after their 4-year-old son drowned in a canal on his way back from church on Sunday at Awori Street, Dokpemo Agege in Lagos State. So according to the story, the father said that he wasn't feeling too good to take the child to his own church. So he allowed their neighbor who was going to church, and their neighbor sent off the kids with the sister, that's a teenager about 15 years, and they went to church. But on their way back, it was raining, and so I think he had a few other children with her or him. They didn't tell us the sex of the neighbor now, and then was trying to cross them one after the other, asked the little boy to stand. They didn't know that he was standing at the tip of the canal. The place was flooded, and the water just carried him. You know, before they could raise alarm and get him back, he was already drowned. And it was a painful, really painful story.
So
Police had, waded into the matter.
Painful.
It's
Parents will never forgive
Oh
themselves.
God, the mother has been crying,
Never forgive themselves. So sorry with this. Oh, sugar.
The neighbor.
Really sad.
I think it's sad to just go from that to an economic related story, but the president has expressed there's a goal for the economy. The goal for our Nigerian economy is to become a $1 trillion economy. For that to happen, a lot of changes need to be made to the current banking capitalization. So at the 58th annual bankers dinner last Friday, the CBN governor, Olayemi Kadoso, had said that it's important. They were going to carry out a stress test on Nigerian banks, and that based on that stress test, it's revealed that with mild to moderate stress, the banks it would affect the banks, and so the conversation is that the banks need to recapitalize. For that to happen, it means there will be sales of shares, and that people are now rushing to buy stock of mega banks because these mega banks have shown capacity for leadership over the years, and it's expected that they would gain. So they listed some of these banks and how they have gained over the past few years, and the expectation that if they go to the market, there will be improvements. The banks will be recapitalizing, which means they are seeking more funds so that they have liquidity to be able to make the economy flow. So for us to achieve a mega economic status, we need banks that are strong enough to fund that economy, and I think it's a good thing. This is a policy I'm looking forward to seeing.
All right, so let's talk about the coup attempt in Sierra Leone. So a delegation, including the president of ECOWAS, Dr. Imar Aliyu Toure, Nigeria's National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, Chief of Defense Staff Major General Christopher Musa, amongst others, met with President Bill of Sierra Leone. And they were there to convey a goodwill message from our own president and the chairman of ECOWAS, President Bola Tinubu, and others, just to express their concern about the recent events in the region with 3 of its member states, Guinea, Mali, and Burkina Faso, under military rule. During the visit, Ribadu specifically said that anything that would interfere with democracy, peace, and security and stability of Sierra Leone will be resisted and would not be accepted by ECOWAS. And they are proud of the leadership of the president. They're hoping that they're going to support him the best so that this unfortunate incident never happens again. Moving on quickly now, to confront armed bandits in Abia. Which story in Daily Sun?
Imo State Police Command, Buki Danjuma, said his command has arrested 18 members of the Eastern Security Network, ESN, operatives as suspects over the killing of 2 police officers at Ahia Zumbisi on Monday. A statement by Imo State Police Public Relations Officer Henry Okoye said shortly after the incident, they disclosed the Special Forces of the Command's tactical team had been deployed to apprehend other fleeing suspects. So according to the story, they said the policemen were, filling at the filling station trying to, get fuel when hoodlums suspected to be IPOB and ESN members dressed in military camouflage and black-red regalia swooped in on them with 3 vehicles and motorcycles and started firing sporadically. So the police operatives fought gallantly, tried to, as much as possible, to fire back. Unfortunately, 2 of them died, but they left the, I wouldn't call them bandits now, but they said suspected IPOB members with a lot of injuries while they were running away. So they said they had mobilized, were able to give them a hot chase, and investigations are ongoing now to realize what has happened. So it's just a sad story that we lost 2 of our policemen.
Things are happening in Abia State. So the governor has said that through the Commissioner for Information and Culture, Mr. Oke Kanu, they will be stopping payments of all unverified staff in the government employment. According to them, they expected all workers in the state ought to have been verified by now to have all so that they can be properly paid. So they've extended the verification by 2 weeks. The senior special assistant also said that there are still some workers who are yet to participate in the exercise. So they're ensuring that only workers who are properly verified will be paid. And they said that 197 schools recently were shut down by the state government because they haven't done the needful to get their acts together. So until they do that before they reopen the 197 schools, I'm surprised it's
so many schools.
Yeah, that's a lot of schools.
Shut down. What's happening to the
Some schools are not well. They don't have right documentation. God forbid they have in Lagos. The whole of Nigeria will be talking about it. Let's go on to Want to take a story?
Yes, let me quickly take a quick story. The EFCC has EFCC's witness has exonerated former CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele from allegations of the 1.2 billion contract award. If we recollect, there was a lot of allegation held against him before he was brought into EFCC. Now EFCC reduced the allegations to 6-count criminal charge, and one of those criminal charges involved the fact that he profited from the procurement process through CBN to April 1616 Investment Limited, based on the fact that they feel it was affiliated, maybe it was on the board. Now the CAC, the witness that EFCC brought, has said that the governor does not have any link with the company, and that the company was registered since long before the governor was even in that place, and that even though transactions went from the CBN to this company, the governor did not profit from it. So the worry for me is we hope that the EFCC has enough case to hold him on, so that it will not be a case where the former CBN governor will now sue a counter case against EFCC that you kept us waiting for a long time without nothing.
Yes. Our final paper, Nigerian Tribune. Let's find a story we've not taken. Ekiti government sues Chef Dami's pastor and demands 10 million naira damages. Minister of Power to prioritize metering, distribution, transmission, and infrastructure. Shawu Ogumosho to get staff of office in December 19th. I thought it was 16th. Senate passes 57 billion naira police trust fund budget. And Oshoba to chair Olamiti's book launch on Thursday. Okay.
Minister of Power, Chief Adebayo Adelabu, during the 3rd round table on enforcement of technical standards, regulation, and mandate of NEMSA, he outlined the new strategy about for the upcoming power sector strategy roadmap, he calls it. And the strategy, he says, will focus on customers down to distribution and transmission infrastructure in the short term, ensuring significant portion of currently generated power reaches consumers. He also emphasized regional energy potential, citing solar energy in the north, small hydropower plants in the middle belt, south and southwest, hybridized with solar for maximum output. Then coastal cities were identified for wind energy utilization. These strategies will be revealed, they say, after a forthcoming retreat on with electricity value chain stakeholders. They're also trying to encourage state governments to participate in distribution of electricity as well. So, we hear these words, we hear these plans and these roadmaps. sounds interesting and
On paper.
Yes, we just hope that it can be implemented.
Yeah, so let me just shorten the story. We remember our chef, Dami,
Yes.
from AKT.
Yes.
Yeah, so after the cookathon and how everything went, she fell out with her pastor. They've not explained what exactly happened between them, but the pastor ordered her arrest. Yes, she was arrested, and after a week after the arrest, she decided to go to the Directorate of Citizens' Rights and filed a case against the pastor, also a restraining order so that the pastor and his people don't come close to her. She has claimed that they have been threatening her, they won't, you know, and all of that. So they didn't give us the details. Maybe it's a money matter or something. Anyhow,
That's all we can take on Front Page Review. We'll come back once our sponsored segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail. Or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosities, right here within this beautiful cocktail we call the Black Table.
Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome the one who can make time stand still forever, Mr. Kelechi Amadi. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, my brother.
You love that intro, Abby.
It was great.
Okay, yeah,
Thank you.
We try like that.
Thank you.
Now my question.
Don't respect quiet people.
Thanks for joining us. So we also to tell us about WVL Nigeria. Project is Dr. Fatima Adamu. She's the Executive Director of Nana Girls and Women's Initiative. Welcome to the show, madam.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. So tell us, what exactly is Nana Girls Initiative and what is your primary mission?
Yeah, Nana Girls and Women Empowerment is located in Kebbi State, and we work in both Sokoto and Kebbi. And we're barely about women's rights and girls' rights, and that's what we are. We focus on issue of reproductive health rights of women and girls, as well as economic rights. So these are the, in brief, who we are. We're purely women's rights organization.
Okay. Yeah, so,
okay. What roles do Action Aid Nigeria and the government of Canada play in supporting and facilitating the implementation of your initiatives?
Oh, a lot. You know, when we started, we were just a small organization struggling. And so what the WBL, Global Affairs Canada support did was really to bring us up with visibility, with a lot of capacity building, and really showing us the way. And not only that, we were also, the Action Aid was able to handhold us, and also support us to handhold others. So we went to the communities, we worked with about initially 12 community-based organizations. So what I'm saying, we've done, and we got some funding also to implement our own agenda. And that's what I like about the WVL. It gives you that space to decide your own agenda, and they support you both financially and technically to implement your own agenda.
So I know that you're an advocate. What you do is to advocate against school-related gender-based violence, you know, and for that to happen, there'll be need for policies. So I want to ask you, what are the challenges you've encountered in trying to push for relevant policies to back up this advocacy you have? Can you highlight some of the successes you've had during this advocacy journey in respect to policies?
Yes. Yeah. So one thing, you know, initially we weren't into school-based violence. It was one of these 16 days of activism that we decided, oh, let's visit schools and hear what is happening. To our shock, when we went there and we asked students after the sensitization and all of that, we asked the student, please, if you have any question around GVV, after discussing what it is, anonymously write it in Hausa and put it in a box. And all of us left, and so they were all among themselves. They wrote. And what we got really shocked us. Some of them were asking, look, if my uncle is raping me, is sleeping with me, my maternal uncle, what should I do? Who should I report to? I don't want to report to my mother because that will tarnish the king's relationship that they have. So we got a lot of disparate, you know, calls. Or if my teacher is molesting me, victimizing me, who should I report to? So they were asking kind of question that ordinarily, in fact, we felt ashamed for me as a mother and also as educationists that we weren't paying attention to things like that. So that was really for us an eye-opener, and we pick it up. And so right now, for example, we are working in 16 secondary schools in Kebbi State, and we're working with the government. You know, there is already Safe School Initiative at the national level, wherein there is policy, there is all of that. But you know, that's the issue with the Nigerian government. So it sits here at the national level. So what we did was really work with the state government to ensure that that is translated down, not only at the ministry level, but also up to our school levels. So importantly for us, and we've gotten a lot of support. And so in fact, the Ministry for Basic Education, secondary education, you know, have even given us a focal person. We are working with them. We've done a lot of training. We are working with them to reactivate, because there is the guidance and counseling. This kind of, many of the questions they were asking, if to say there is a functional guidance and counseling unit and trusted guidance and counseling officer, these are issues that the school could have handled. So because of that, we work with the schools, with the ministry to reactivate some, because some schools did have, so to reactivate where they exist and really make sure, and we involve the student in the selection of who is going to be the guidance and counseling officer for them. Because you know, these kind of things are issue of trust. They need to trust you before they can tell you their stories. So we work on that. Where they don't exist, we create it. Importantly, yeah, thank you. Importantly, is we ask the girls, you have the power. You are a human being. Every human being has a power. So why can't you work with yourself? There is power in number. So rather than one individual, so we work with them. So finally we agree with the leadership, the principals and the vice principals. You know, let's have a girls club. And this girls club, let them be very active and let them also be first of all, submitting complaints from their fellow student to the management without telling the husband of her sister. And she's staying with the sister, and she is an orphan. So if she really disclosed the issue, probably even the marriage of her sister will end, and she will also, they don't have anywhere to go. So these are all the child. So they are adolescents. They don't have the power, the agency to talk. And that's why our intervention under the WBL is giving this space. And this say, look, you can talk, and we are here for you. And the whole society is here for you. And the government is also here for you. And we have cases wherein the government will intervene and really address the problem. So the major issue is that lack of power, especially for women and for the adolescent, to know that, look, they can say, they can voice out, they can say what is there. The issue is, if they say that, who will come in to give them that, to support them, you know, to protect them, that kind of protection. And because the school, there's how long the school can do, because during holiday they have to go back to home. Whatever it is, some of them are imported. So they have to go back home.
Okay.
And that's what we come into play, the role we come into play as NGOs.
All right, so let's discuss sustainability for a moment. What actions do you believe the state government and even community leaders in Kebbi can begin to take to ensure the lasting impact and success of your project at the state level?
Yeah, in fact, it's not that they can tell. We've started that engagement with them. So, for example, under the school-based gender-based violence at the school level, we're discussing with the ministry. You know, there is this agile program, another education program, and so the government is saying, look, let's come into that. And we also domesticated the national, and what we have a policy with the government adopted. So we are on that, and the government is looking for other resources like the agile resources so that we expand. So we are now scaling up with the government to additional schools and to have additional girls club in each of these schools, where currently we have 46. And so that's one. Let's come to the community, and for me that is very, very critical. We've had every emir, all the 4 emirs in the state. We have visited the emirs, and we have what we call paralegal at the community level. And this community, this paralegal team, they are comprising of the security, the Hizbadas, the religious group, the youth group, the traditional, and in each of the district head, there is somebody that we are working with, and so that's why now we have so many cases being reported. You know, the thing with GVB, for example, for many of those affected at the community, they are the poorest. So they don't have the means even to transport their case to where the court is and where the police is, and even from the police to take it to the court. So you need to all come together. So what I'm saying is we are getting the right signal, and they are really supporting, and we are putting structure at the community level, and with the support of the traditional institutions. And that's working very, very well. And we are handing over these structures to the emirate and to the district heads in the states.
Amazing work, man. Well done. So if you have an opportunity to design phase 2 of your project, what are some of the changes and adjustments you make based on your experience from this first phase?
Yeah, I will definitely, so I would like it to remain women-led, because you know, so I want it to remain women-held, and also I want to that space for us to do. But what I want is the emphasis, and I really like to emphasize that we go to the down to the grassroots, and to the poorest part of the urban poor part of the state, so that then what I'm saying is we add in the issue of equity. So we are not only allowed to decide, but certain number must come from the poor side, because there is the tendency for us to remain in the capital city, but the state level. But that's no majority of these challenges. They are not in the state capital. In the state capital, people have options. It's just like hospital. In the state capital, there are private hospitals. So if I don't want it, I have an option. But for many people in the local government and below, there are no options. It's only this primary healthcare services. So that's why we need to work. And that's why under our MSCH, we really work at that level so that we strengthen that relationship between the community and our hospitals so that our women can really go and deliver in the hospital. And where the services are not good, we will take that voice from the women and take it to the director at PHC and engage with them and make it right.
Thank you so very much. It was such a pleasure having you to share with us what you've been doing in Kebbi State and the environs. We wish you all the best, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's my pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
Let's go on a quick break now. We'll come back and move on to our next sponsor segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned.
Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome pioneer Positive Force member, dancing queen of the 80s, non-conformist, Afrobeat historian in her right, and long-standing member of the multiple award-winning all-female show Your View, Omoyeni, Yeni, Anikulapo Kuti, aka YK Power! Ginger!
Take it.
Today we'll go here.
Hey, I don't read you.
Are you sure?
I'm not here to answer my question. I'm here to drink.
We're in trouble today.
What's your age?
I was close now.
I
said 1975.
He said 73. He said 75. Fellas wasn't even born in 75.
So will I drink half?
You go drink. Take. Make I help you. Russian.
No be half.
Which half? You will make me drink. I'll give you a hint.
Lights in no. Nepa Road. Nepa Road in Abeokuta.
First of all, my brain cannot memorize everything.
A big black bug.
A big black dog.
Bug. A big black bug.
Oh, sorry. A big.
It don't start.
Omo fela. Omo Anikula Pokuti. Oro pe kini kekere yi.
It's by Audison. It's not by Audison.
So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail. Or maybe mocktail. We need a...
Thanks for staying with us. So today we have with us one topic that is really resonates with many people and directly affects women. The topic is about women and estate planning. So if you're a career-driven woman, like the ladies of Your View, a mother, like the ladies of Your View, a caregiver, like us, and a business owner, like the ladies of Your View, or even a housewife. In fact, we have housewives too. Estate planning is vital. Very vital aspect of securing your legacy and your family's future. Join us on the show to tell us more about this is a private trust specialist, FBN Quest. Trustees. In fact, you're now a lady of your view. Latuji, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Our viewers are always calling, why is with tears? Good to have you on the show.
Thank you.
So, when we talk about estate planning for women, what exactly are the key elements to consider?
Okay, so when we talk estate planning generally, you see women at the background, they are not actively participating in estate planning, and there are some things they will say to you. They will say things like, oh, my husband has an estate plan, so I don't need an estate plan. I don't even have assets, so really I don't have anything to plan towards. They forget the fact that whether you like it or not, you own something. So one of the key things you should consider is that whether you like it or not, you own assets. As little as you think you own assets, whether you're career driven, you're stay at home, you have assets. And you have beneficiaries, you have loved ones, you have kids, you have your dependents that you want to take care of. So these are the key things that should play at the back of your mind. And just ask yourself, if a man should have an estate plan, why shouldn't a woman have an estate plan? We are the backbone of the home. We are the backbone of the society. You see a lot of women making waves in the society, financial sector, economic sector. So why shouldn't we have an estate plan when we have all of this already?
So how can women ensure that their assets and wealth are protected and distributed according to their wishes, based on what you're saying?
So number one is have an estate plan, either a will or a trust. So you have all these assets, you've made all this money, you've made waves in your industry. How do you ensure that this thing outlives you? You must have an estate plan. You cannot want to preserve all these things for the next generation without having an estate plan. So you need to have a will, you need to have a trust. Don't say, oh, you're telling me to write a will. Are you trying to say I'll die tomorrow? No, nobody's saying you're going to die. But this is something that is inevitable. How do you want your kids taken care of if anything happens to you? Death is even far-fetched. There's a lot going on in the economy today. Financial crisis, incapacity, so many things. How do I want my loved one taken care of? How do I ensure that the education, the welfare, the day-to-day living of my kids, of my loved ones, of my parents is not affected?
Yeah,
wedding,
absolutely. Yes. Major part of our culture.
Yes, so all of those things.
Okay, so are there unique, like in dealing with women, when you talk about estate planning, are there some unique challenges that you would say that affects women when they sit with you?
There are a number of challenges. The first thing you hear is women will tell you, my husband has an estate plan, so I don't need one. Forgetting the fact that your husband won't have access to your account details. You won't have access to the investments that you own. There are certain things your husband will not have access to automatically just because he's your husband. If your husband has an estate plan, his estate plan will only cater for the asset that he owns in his personal name. So what happens to asset that you own in your personal name or asset that both of you own jointly? Because lots of women these days, they own assets jointly with their husbands. You have the house and you say, my husband has taken care of it in his will. Okay, so for example, what if your husband predeceases you or you predecease your husband? How do you want that assets taken care of? Or what if something happens to both of you at the same time? Yes, the property is in your name, but what should happen to it? Who should take care of? Who should own it? How should it be managed till your children become of age? So all of these things need to be considered. Another thing is the culture. Some cultures will tell you women can't even inherit. So they have no place in saying they want to give out anything that they own. The women herself, their assets that we own. So what are they giving out? This is another thing that women say to you. But we tell them that whether you like it or not, you own things. And the power lies with you. You have to do something. You have to empower yourself. And you have to take that first step. And the only way you can take that first step is by having an estate plan.
Okay, so I love about women empowerment. I have a foundation that does women in real estate. But financial empowerment is very important before you can plan an estate. So I want you to break down what role financial empowerment would play in estate planning for women.
Okay, so when we talk financial empowerment, a lot of people will still tell you that I don't own any lots. But then again, have you sat down to structure your expense in the month? Whether you like it or not, there's a portion of your expense that you can save, and trust is an estate planning. So all the funds that you put in your trust to be invested. So that portion that you say, okay, I've taken care of all my other expenses, I have this 1,000, 2,000 naira. Why not set up a trust? It's going to be invested. You earn return on investment. You can now use that trust to plan for your children or for your loved ones. You can say, once this trust gets to this certain amount, I want it to take care of the education of my children, whether or not I'm in the picture. This is the type of school I want my kids to attend, and I don't want anything to disrupt it. This is the lifestyle and standard I've set for my children. Or I have parents, I want to ensure that on a monthly basis, there's a standing instruction to my trust so that I'm not doing the transfer or I forget. And on a particular date of every month, a certain amount goes out to your parents, a certain amount goes out to the charity that you fund. So all of these things, women need to sit down and actively think about it and plan. We women, we leave things to chance. We just figure out something on our notepad or our phone.
Embarrassed because you've come here several times and I have not called you. I hear this every time.
And you don't remember.
And I keep saying that I will call Mutia to have this conversation. So there are housewives that say, listen, I know I would like to have a trust fund for my kids. I've been listening to Mutia. How do I even go about it? I don't have any assets. I mean, I'm just...
How much do I even have?
How much do I even have to start
Money is
having
not even enough to buy Morocco.
Soup. But you know that you have people that also do ajo.
Yes.
So why not see your trust as an ajo? And then you start building it gradually. And then you have return on it. And it is secure. So you're not doing ajo with maybe one person that comes to the market every time for the market women that feel I don't have money. So when we start to think of estate planning in that light, we realize that with the little that we have, there's a lot we can do. For the housewives, we know how when we get the monthly allowance, we shall make sure that the budget is enough and we have something extra. And the housewives that also have side gigs, they work from home. There are so many online jobs these days. Your husband gives you monthly allowance or something. So all those funds that you just keep somewhere, set up a trust. Let's even start from the basics. Set up a trust. It is as easy as ABC. And at FBN Quest Trustees, that's why we are here to help you set up your trust.
I like the setting up part. So how can a woman initiate, want to start? What are the first steps to take?
Okay, so first step is do an asset inventory. I'm sure if I ask the ladies of your view to do an asset inventory, thinking of it now, you feel you don't have anything. But if I give you a paper, it will actually be full. Because there are so many things. Exactly, you have your needs. There are so many things that are your assets. We have jewelries. These things are assets and they cost a lot. There are women that have apparels that are very dear to them. And they'll tell you things like, I wore this for my wedding. I want my first daughter to put it on. You can have that in your will. So it's as simple as that. You can have all of those instructions contained in your will. There are women that are academia, they have books, and you say, when I'm no longer in the picture, set up a library, donate to a library, put it in your will. So it's not always naira, kobo, money value. When you actually sit down to look at it, you have a whole lot. And so that's the first step. Do an asset inventory. Who are the beneficiaries of this asset? It doesn't have to be just your kids or your loved ones. It's that time of the year. We're rounding up. People will say, oh, I'm going to do this visit, I'm going to this orphanage. Put a trust structure around it so that whether or not you are there, it would outlive you once it is funded. So all of these things are what women can, and really we're the ones that
how do my mind? Because whenever you come like this, our minds are always
when you go now, forget
what's the next. How do you provide this support and guidance? How does FBN Quest Trustee help in putting this together?
Okay, so the first step is to reach out to us. Just give us a call and we'll have a meeting with you. We'll sit down with you and help you analyze everything. So our number is 080-54-000-299. So just give us a call and we'll guide you. We'll take the first step with you and we'll walk with you all through the journey.
Awesome.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. Anytime I come in, I feel like, hey, wow. We know we have to make that call and at least have the conversation because everybody wants to get the school fees sorted, travel, assets, so many things. And, it's a good thing to have a plan towards that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go on a short break. When we come back, going on to the next segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Do you think you can outplay me in this game of wits and knowledge? Can you go 7 rounds without flinching? I meant answering 7 questions correctly. How well can you hold your liquor? If you're curious, Then join us for the most exciting conversation and games with your favorite.
Ask questions and if it's something that I saw coming, I may not even ask questions. I may just I may even tell you I saw this.
What if it's in person? But then would it make a difference where? So like this person might just say you can just be on 3rd Mainland Bridge on a bike and the person say, babe, I cannot do it again, and you lose range. So what would change the scenario for, like, does it matter where? Do you want to have like a fancy dinner like the film you were mentioning?
No, like finding up you
or do you want to be on the street?
No, carry me go fancy dinner.
Or you might just una dey run for treadmill.
Or you na dey jog.
You tell you lose for your web.
Now I don't turn attempted murder.
So which would it be? Because I'm like, in person you have the closure that you want and the few injuries.
Guys, that's one place. It could be inside the car. You can sit inside the car.
Why car? Why not bike?
Who will be driving?
Why bike?
Who will be driving at this point?
The car will be stationary.
Pray I'm not the one driving.
The car will be stationary.
Because I go master. You can't be telling me like me. I'm going to drive near water. You must consider.
So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail. Or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosity.
Thanks for staying with us. So the Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency has reacted to a viral video of a boy boasting to his friends about raping a girl. In the video, the boy was seen boasting and narrating how the girl refused to have sex with him and told him she was afraid of getting pregnant. Despite the lack of consent, he detailed how he held onto the girl and forcefully penetrated her. Now, reacting to the video, the agency urged the public to report any information they have about this incident and this young man. And DSVA said specifically, trigger warning, our attention has been drawn to this video. If anyone has any information as to where this happened, kindly get in touch with us immediately. Please, our toll-free lines have been displayed. But this, seeing this boy boast about this rape is another reminder of why we need to discuss the boy child and how the mentality young boys have and how we've been very, let's use the word negligent in raising them right, because the boys are raised with this mentality that it is their right to subdue a young girl or penetrate her with or without her consent. And many of us need to rise up to the reality of how we need to change the mindset. Lots of young boys, not all boys are like that. Some boys are well trained, but others aren't. And this conversation about reminding ourselves what we're going to do. How do we handle teenage boys who have the hormones raging and they want to do what they feel they need to do? But society has given them the authority to do what they have to do. But Who are the victims of this? The young girls. That's our conversation today. You can call us on the numbers on your screen, 081 0764 1679 09024 163440. Please tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. Let me come to you. I mean, this is a very disheartening video to watch. He was speaking with such confidence, you know.
Excited. And
the excitement of how he violently, forcefully penetrated this young girl. What are your thoughts?
You know, we were having this conversation at the conference I attended in Singapore, and it's that, and we've said it on the show several times, that the girls that we train would have to marry and live with the boys we ignored. As a society, we have so pushed female empowerment, training our girls, educating our children that are female because they've been so suppressed for a long time, and we are not paying as much attention to the boys. I'm a mother of boys, so this is very, very important for me, that the influence I'm having on my children might get polluted by this kind of people, because this boy was gisting his male friends about the fun he had raping a young girl. Wow. I'm happy that the video got out. It doesn't matter how it came out. I hope we can have a scapegoat in society. We need to have scapegoats so that people will understand the impact of making these kind of things, of doing this kind of things on their own lives. But beyond creating a scapegoat system with one person, it is that we need to pay attention to our boys. We need to start talking to them on how to treat women, how to treat themselves, love themselves enough to be able to build their emotional connection with another human being, because that is one of the biggest challenges. They resort to drugs. They are influenced by peer pressure because they don't have, young boys are not being raised to love themselves, be confident in themselves, see the value they carry, and be able to push that into the world. If we are able to do that with them from the mental space, you will not derive any pleasure from saying this kind of thing in a video, because you know that there's no fun in saying you raped and you violently violated a girl.
So for me, there are two things that have come out of this. Is that, yes, how the boy child is raised. And secondly, is giving us context on how boys see rape. You know, a lot of times when we talk about rape and we put the girl, what did she wear? What did she do? Who was she? You know? And every time people say it's not about that, especially men tend to make it look like we're just excusing the girls, you know, and many times it comes across too as them excusing boys for bad behavior. So you see, from how that boy described it, and he described it with his, you know, with all confidence, and he was talking to his friends, so they're of like mind. So this is not just one solitary boy talking about this, a group of boys that think alike, and this is just one group. So imagine across Nigeria, groups of boys that think this way. They didn't feel like they were doing anything wrong. They felt like he actually felt quite empowered. So when we talk about rape, it is not about, oh, the way the girls behave. It's also about the way we have raised our boys. What do we make them feel proud of? When a boy comes home and talks about his sexual escapades, we hail them. Even parents, even the father will say, this is my boy. You know, those sort of things. We are encouraging this sort of bad behavior. So when the boy finds himself also in a situation where he's not giving consent, he remembers all the hailing, and then he also remembers he has to go home and tell, or go back to his friends and tell these stories. So I hope it now gives us context that when we tell our girls, close your legs, be careful where you go, and all those sort of things, that we also need to talk to boys to understand that consent, if you're not giving consent, don't go there. And rape is nothing to be proud of. This, you know, the poor girl, sure, and also I feel the poor boy, because the reason I say the poor boy is he's coming from a place of lack. He doesn't have the education, he doesn't have the enlightenment, you know. I believe that if he did that, he may not be the boy that we're seeing today. So he has to face the consequences of his actions, and I hope that he would learn from this. And I'm happy this video is viral, because he will serve as an example and as a lesson to boys on how they should conduct themselves around girls.
You see your thoughts on this matter?
It's a very painful thing to watch and listen to. You know, for so long we have raised our girls as properties, and, you know, allowed the streets to raise our boys as lords. And also some of them pick up from the experiences of their father. We've had fathers who would treat their wives as mere property. It's what I want at the time that I want it, or no deal. And then these boys see people model to them bad behavior, and society allows it. Society so long has permitted bad behavior from men. We find a way to excuse it, we find a way to allow it. You hear people saying that it's the girls that stress me. I will pay attention to the girls because it's only the girls that can bring pregnancy home. But then the boys, they will not, whatever happens, they will not be the ones bringing the pregnancy home. And we raise our boys with this sort of mindset. This is just showing us that we have failed in that area and it has to change. Also, we need to start having sexual conversations with our young adults. We can start very early from their teenage years, but we must have sexual conversations. We cannot assume that because I raise you in this environment, I'm probably a religious person, we know that it is sin, the Bible has said it is sin, you would be able to keep yourself. No, these people do not understand most of the emotions that go through them. When they are getting into that teenagehood, there's always a roller coaster of emotions, and we must be able to catch it when it's coming. We must be able to free up our conversation for them to understand that you will be turned on. You would have things running through your body. You would have, you will see somebody and like somebody and want that person, and it's okay. But what do you do with that feeling? How do you handle that feeling? Do you have a conversation in that feeling? How do you channel that energy to something else? We must begin to have this conversation. It's not enough to sit down and say, they are the ones coming after. Because I've seen experiences where a boy goes out there and does anyhow, and then the parents will protect the boy and insult the girl and say, after all, you are the one that came after my son.
To the house.
You came to the house. You wore a very short skirt in the house. It's not enough. The boy has to be responsible on how he handles his emotion, how he channels that feeling when it comes. We cannot shy away from these conversations right now.
Well, let's bring it to where you're taking us to, because these things are happening. Teenagers are active.
Yeah.
Let us not pretend. Loads of teenagers are very sexually active. Now, is how do we therefore manage that activeness? How do we help them in that space? Because these ones are bragging about raping. Now, it's possible the girl may not even be a newbie. It's possible she's also active. But at that moment, she didn't want that consent. So my question is, are we stopping them from being active, or how do we train them to be responsibly active, or should we just say don't do it at all?
That has not worked.
So in this case, we're talking about rape.
Yes.
So there's
the consent.
Yes, but right now we're talking about rape, and BC mentioned that we need to talk to them, express, and I don't feel that that's the problem, because you can have these conversations, but what are the things that you imply? When you are having other conversations, there are other things that will imply that makes a boy, even no matter how much you have this conversation, that tells the boy that it's okay to forcefully take advantage of somebody. If he sits with his friends or he hears other adults.
Or his uncles.
Yes, talk about how they did it, how they forcefully got their way with someone. No matter how many times that uncle will sit and say, this is how to behave. But when you people are hailing each other, what do you hail each other on? That's the thing. In what ways are you an example? It's easy to sit people down and be talking to them. With children, it's how we behave.
That's the modeling I talked about.
Yes. So in society, when a rape case is presented, who gets the blame? So a boy can also look at it and think, even when it happens, I can get off easily. Nobody will blame me. They'll still blame the girl for being there. Why did she? All I have to do is say she tempted me. She wore a certain outfit. So it's how we behave. It's our mindset concerning what we think boys' rights or
so do we have
rights are over the.
So do we have responsible adults? That's what it is.
There's also influence. What influences this behavior? I don't think that we talk enough about the impact of pornography on children. We live in a bubble. Parents like to assume their children have no idea about pornography. We don't want to think about it. But the truth is, when you talk to those children, a lot of their sexual influence is from pornography, and they are acting out what they have seen that we as adults don't want to acknowledge. Boys watch pornography more than girls do, actually, statistically. And it influences what they want to play out. So when we see somebody feel like, I would stretch a hand like this, I will stretch the leg like this, I will lift one leg up. It is, we need to talk about these things you're seeing isn't real, it is made up, it impacts on the girl's self-esteem, it impacts on how you see yourself. You can't be deriving pleasure from hurting the girl.
When you mention this thing, I just remember growing up, we used to hear all those uncles that come with blue film. Put in the cassette, those uncles. But now it's readily available.
It's on every system.
Click. Social media is and they all have phones. So it's an addiction.
I saw someone saying that boys would do better. I saw the guy has been putting it up. I just kept thinking, no, it's not a big deal. Why? Because I felt pornography wasn't a problem. Until I started talking to people, like I have a lot of guys around me because I do production, and I found out every one of them were indulging. And they've been indulging for years. So I'm like, does anybody around you know what you are indulging in?
They won't know.
They didn't know. So if we are not discussing about these things, because it's part of what influences. So Mayam said bragging. Bragging is a major influence. The accolades they receive when they show off their their activities in bed, and their mastery in bed is part of it.
But even also, pornography that you mentioned, they highlight those aggressive, violent situations. So those are the things that influence men to think, or little boys to think, it has to be about aggression, it has to be about violence. The music, the stars,
everything. Social media.
When they describe the woman, how do they describe
a music video?
Own her.
Let me come to CBC.
So I started the conversation by talking about conversation. We cannot change anything without having a proper conversation. And conversation is not just preaching to somebody, do it this way or do it that way. Conversation is also understanding where the person is coming from, asking the right questions. What questions do you ask your children when they come back from school? Do you know the conversations they have with their friends? If you have developed an act of talking to your children when they are younger, when they can tell you silly things that don't make any meaning, it will be easier for them to discuss issues like sex. I have a 14-year-old and we're already talking sex. Yes, we started with talking whatever that comes. She gives me the story. Somebody did me like this, somebody did. Now it's easy to just go into that sexual conversation because I want to know at every point where her mind is. We must not run away from conversation. I also mentioned modeling. Modeling is about being the example. So it's not do what I say, but do what I do. And we know that young people always do what we do. Whatever we say, we're on our own. The outside influence at a certain age is greater than whatever influence we the parents can give in the home. So that's why you also have to rely on modeling. You must do what you want them to do and abstain from what you don't want them to abstain from, and also pay attention to the conversations you have around them. Pay attention to the things that sometimes when we're watching movies and two couples are kissing and some children will hide their face. I don't like you hiding your face. Please watch it. Let's talk about it. What do you think about this? There's a level you can get that child's confidence up to, and you can have that conversation. Also, we have a lot of girls who pass mixed messages. Probably that's what they know how to. So you like something and you start with no, and then we don't hear the no again and it goes to yes. We have seen men who say that is quite conflicting. We have seen men who brag with each other that if a lady is telling you no, keep pushing, no, she means yes. We have seen men shamed for taking the no and walking away. Why didn't you fight? We have seen men in the university back in the day, they will say, I went to his room to spend the night. He couldn't even cross pillow. And they shame the boys. So what do the boys do? Next time you come to the room, you will collect what you have come to collect. Even when you are saying no, yes, they do not listen to the no anymore. So everybody needs to pass their messages clearly and teach our boys that no is a complete sentence. Understand your body. Know your body, and nobody has a right to lay hands on your body, or you have no right to lay hands on another person's body. No is a complete sentence.
Let me take this call from Josh. Good morning. Thanks for calling.
Morning.
You're live.
Thank you. My name is John. I'm calling you
John,
from Go
ahead, please.
Yes, I want to comment on this issue of the male child. Hello?
You are live. Go ahead, John.
Yes. Thank you. I think the issue is failure of parenting. Because these days, most of the parents, if you see a child of 14 years, the parents are expecting the child to feed the family. when the child goes out and sees it, hello?
We can hear you, sir.
Oh, yes. When the child goes out and see what the society is doing, his other colleagues are doing, involved in a lot of stuff that, to the extent that even the parents advise the child is seeing the opposite of the advice because the societal value. Hello?
Continue, we can hear you, sir.
Also, yes, because the societal value attaching things when you are advising your child, you discover that you are afraid, you are advising your child. The child is seeing another different thing outside. Because of the social media, the control of Uju have talked about a lot of stuff on the social media. The children are involved in pornography. How do we now control those things? So I think you have to do a lot of with the parenting.
All right, thank you very much. So there's the issue of pornography, which we should come back to, and there's the issue of how do we reprimand kids like this? These are young boys. They're still probably early university. These are never year 4, maybe year 1. It's probably a jam bite or year something. They're very young.
Look quite young.
How do we? What kind of? You can't jail them. You can't throw them in prison.
You will not achieve the goal.
So rape is a crime, certainly. Yeah, so it can be persecuted. But the point is that how do we help to reorientate these young boys? How do we get them to see this as a crime? Because that boy clearly doesn't see it as a crime. For him, it's just something to brag about.
Yes. Yeah.
But somebody needs to let these people know that this is a crime.
Yeah. You know, our caller talked about parenting, and you know, I've come to realize that parents will give as much as they know. That's the truth. Some parents don't know. That's why they are raising the children.
And give what they don't have.
Yes. And then we have, so this is where we call on the society to do better. You know, our last guest that was talking about girls' club in schools. We need boys' club. There's this show that they used to try and bring boys from the hood, and a Black American show, Boys from the Hood, and teach them how to be, I think they say, is it from thugs to gentlemen? Teach them how to be gentlemen. Because on the streets, for those that grew up on the streets, the rules of the streets is different, you know, than how you should carry yourself in a decent society. Yeah. So we need people like that to come and just hang out with boys. Let our successful men and our successful father figures hang out with these boys and let them understand that, see, we're successful, we're cool, and we're well behaved. Because the examples these young boys are seeing are those who are saying, you know, I can do anything and get away with it. And they feel, I want to be cool like this person. And in this person's coolness, this is what he does with women. But we want people who love them, Tony Lumelus, you know, all those sort of people, hear their own conversations about how they relate with women, how they carry themselves. So it's really about education. It's about men, older men, joining their hands together, understand that there is a problem, and that they have to work together with these young boys.
Let me go on a very short break. When we come back, we'll wrap up on this. Wrapping up, let me see what time we have. Okay, I think that we're not having much time for this, but I would have loved to see. So let me just let you tell.
Yes. So I realized that children who start very early to build their self-esteem have an appreciation of their self-respect. That means that as a boy, if I like a girl and I toast the girl and the girl says no, I walk away with my head held high. I will not force her. Forcing to have your way with a girl comes from a very low self-esteem because you do not believe that by your strength and your power alone and your confidence you can get this girl. So let me use my power, my masculinity to overpower you because I can't get you with my charm. We need to teach boys how to be charming. We need to teach boys how to use their skills. We need to teach boys how to communicate. All the boys in the university who had good communication skills, girls will be falling over them.
Yeah.
They will be the ones selecting. I don't want this. I don't want to have anything to do with it. I don't have, because they exude that confidence. But you see those ones that you mistakenly enter their room and they lock the door. Those ones do not have the lyrics get the girls. So and you cannot have this if you don't talk to your boys. If you don't know how your boys relate with friends that come around to play. If you don't know how your boys are confident in themselves. Let's teach self-esteem. It's very important to our children, girls and boys.
Last weekend, my husband went to a church program and he just went with his pastor, and when he was leaving, the head of the church called him and said that he's been watching his videos. My husband has something to do Brown's Couch. The pastor called and said, I need you to come and talk to our teenage boys.
Exactly.
And my husband said, why do they want me to talk? I said, we need you.
Yeah, true.
You're a man, you're successful, you're good looking, people see young boys would listen to you.
Yeah.
I said, you need to consider, we need more men like you.
Yes.
Yeah,
talking to
boys.
And boys need more role models, telling them you can choose this path, and you can still be cool choosing this right path. You don't have to see girls as objects to rape. These are things. So
carrot and
we need
stick
we need more men coming out to speak to young boys.
Carrot and stick approach. The carrot being the speaking, the education, the information. Stick approach meaning that there must be punitive measures when you do things like this. And the punitive measure must be done publicly. Because you need to have that stick and carrot. So we do this softer side conversation, raising them. But you know the day you are found that you tried something like this, it is a public shame. The stick is just as strong as the carrot.
That's all I can take. But somebody just said, my mother said, good morning. Let me just take the final comment. So Mr. Femi Oladipo just says, my mother bought me a book at a time, says Sex Wise. She allowed me to read, and we talked about what I've read. I didn't get the practicality of it, though, but it was helpful. Forget what men do. I still believe women will do better jobs teaching our men self-respect. I'm enjoying the show. Well, it's a conversation what happened for men. But this is from Mr. Femi Oladipo. Thank you so much for your comments. We're going to break now. We come back, bring in our next guest. Stay with us. Our first guest for today. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Ask questions if I want to ask questions. And if it's something that I saw coming, I may not even ask questions. I may just... I may even tell you I saw this.
What if it's in person? But then, would it make a difference where? So, like, this person might just say, you people can just be on Third Milan Bridge. On a bike. And the person say, babe, I cannot do it again. And you lose range. So, what would change the scenario? Like, does it matter where? Do you want to have like a fancy dinner, like the film you were mentioning?
Or do you
want to be on the street?
No, carry me go fancy dinner.
Or you might just they run for treadmill.
Or you not a joke.
Don't tell you lose for your web.
Now I don't turn attempted murder.
So which would it be? Because I'm like, in person you have the closure that you want and the few injuries.
Guys, that's one place. It could be inside the car. You can sit inside the car.
Why car? Why not bike?
Who will be driving?
Why bike?
Who will be driving at this point?
The car will be stationary.
Pray I'm not the one driving.
The car will be stationary.
Because I go master. You can't be telling me like me. I'm going to drive near water.
All
of us should consider.
Do you think you can outplay me in this game of wits and knowledge? Can you go 7 rounds without flinching? I meant answering 7 questions correctly. How well can you hold your liquor? If you're curious, then join us for the most exciting conversation and games with your favorite celebrities on 7 of 7.
Not just you want to work with.
Yes, that's on that angle.
So like if I had a very, very interesting...
You wouldn't want to work with who?
There's no judgment.
No, and I respect,
they'll judge you
I
definitely,
respect
but we won't
this
judge
certain type of people. But what I dislike so much is when they tend to come to work and then they pour all their
resentment from
on you. Is it me that offended you? I'm not the one. I have no business. Man, just come and work with you, pay me at the end of the month and let me go back to my house in peace and sleep. But when it comes to like divorced people, I cannot work with a divorcee. I can't see myself doing that. If I find out, if you can hide it or not, but if I find out,
when they are nice divorcees,
I would just
What if they are nice?
Okay, now it depends. If you are nice, cool. But if you are the type that you don't know how to keep your anger to yourself, you always pour it on somebody. Well, I'll just drop my resignation letter, no matter the amount you're paying me.
So it's more passive-aggressive people.
Yeah, I can't do it. I'm so sorry.
Oh, definitely.
And I cannot work with stingy people.
See this one.
Because you cannot be passing me in the morning, afternoon. I can say, oh, hi, yeah, I'm okay. Oh, yeah, take 100 naira, take 10K, take 15K. You don't have to be my sugar daddy.
So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps...
Thanks for staying with us. Joining us on the show now is a 60-year-old man who bagged a first-class degree in sociology and emerged as the best graduating student from the University of Ibadan. Welcome with us, Mr. Farouk Sanni, to the show. Good to have you on the show.
Welcome, sir.
So you can call and join the conversation on 081-0764-1679, 09024163440. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your view TVC so we can read your tweet. It's so good to have you on the show. I mean, when we heard your story, I think last week, everybody got excited that this 6-year-old man that went back to school. You share the fact that your uncle had forced you to take some other course back in, is it law? Accounting. Back in the day, but you now went back to school to even start school with your son. Tell us about that journey, your decision to go back to school.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a decision that I was quite intentional about because just as you must have read, we had this uncle whose word was a law. He would simply just collect our whole level certificates and will assign courses to us based on his whims and caprices. Your passion was completely irrelevant. So we'll collect it, okay, A1 days, A2 days, you go and read pharmacy. You go and read this. So in my own case, accounting was assigned to me. I didn't know how he came about that conclusion. But I did not know the nitty-gritty of accounting either. So I didn't know the journey I was embarking on. But because what is worth doing at all is worth doing well, and it appears I have a competitive nature, so I just entered it and I just continued to endure. But there was a friend of mine that I constantly complained to, Kolade Ogedengbe, that why is this course so rigid? Everything is fixated. Just say debit the receiver, credit the giver. That's the rule of double entry. Is there nothing we can do about this? He said, no, there's nothing we can do about it. Oh, I want a situation whereby you ask me a question and I will have the latitude to expand my horizon. For instance, you tell me that the family institution is no longer relevant. Oh, my question could be correct. Yours, it does not mean that your own will not be correct. It all depends from which perspective we are looking at it.
Exactly.
So I was actually boxed in, but I had to continue the journey. And truly speaking, I graduated in 1985 from University of Ife, and it took the intervention of one of my great bosses, Sam Onyovosa, to remind me about writing ICANN. In fact, when he asked me, it did not occur to me what he was talking about. So, as he will fondly call me, FKS, at times they will call me Prof. So, when did you qualify? I said, for what? He said, ICANN, of course. I told him, I'm not yet qualified. He said, why?
How many years?
That was 1999. 14 years.
Okay.
It did not occur to me at all.
It wasn't your thing.
So he asked me why. I was not going to bother him with a lengthy explanation. So I wanted to cut short that discussion. But my boss, he knew exactly what he wanted. When he engaged you, and he will talk to you hard enough for you to understand exactly what you are saying.
Because of timing, we don't have time. So, but let me get a few more questions.
Know your experience in the university, being an elder, you know. And I'm asking this because even in my time, we had some your age anyway, but we had some elderly people who were in class with us. And some people would give a form of reverence to you. Others don't mind. I bet we are all classmates. We are all here. How did you go through those mixed experiences you had with the different students in your department?
You know, the major inquiry that led me to sociology was to find out answers to why do people behave the way they behave. So it was a journey that I was well prepared for. Otherwise, I will be a round peg in a square hole at the end of the day. So I expected all of that. I knew that I needed to be that magnanimous. So human beings are subjective. The whole world is the laboratory. It's not an exact science. So a gentleman you crack a joke with today, it does not pick an offense. Tomorrow you crack the same joke. It takes offense. And you begin to wonder what is the problem. Are you not the same person?
So the moods have changed.
Over 90% of these kids will call me Baba, Daddy. And of course I felt respected. Naturally, I will be glad. Then you had those who will insist on treating me officially. Mr. Sanni.
That's like your grandpa.
I had to adjust. You know, listening to an 18-year-old, 19-year-old saying Mr. and persistently, he will not change it. Mr. Sanni, I adjusted. Then you know, had one or two say, yes, he's a daddy, but it's not my father. Let me say the way exactly he said it, but it's not my father. So I needed to be that large-hearted. I knew that they were kids. I have the likes of them. Even in the class, there were things they do that I know that they just did those things innocently. Maybe one of them wanted to pass a book. That book will be passed over and above my head. Of course, I will not say anything. And also, you know, you have to mind yourself. You know, there's a Yoruba proverb that says,
break it down, please.
Yeah, that if you don't want to be disgraced, you also have to respect yourself. So I did not take it upon myself to suddenly become their counselor. No, I want you to be this. So if you wanted my advice, you will come to me.
Oh, nice.
So otherwise,
let's get it. You seem to have a lot of content, so let's get a lot of things from you.
So for me, it's just brain power, because they tell us, oh, the older you get, the harder it becomes. And here you are, you bagged first class plus 8 awards above all those small children. What were you eating? What were you drinking? How did it work out this way?
Thank you very much. Please, let me first give all glory unto Almighty God, because I'd be deceiving myself if I did not do this. Do you know that I am aware that this brain today is not as sharp as it used to be? But of course, only very few people will believe that. That I about if it had wanted to be sharp, what else will you get? Because when you look at time efficiency, those days I will read a page, I will read 2 pages, I will not go back to those pages.
It sticks.
Locked. And I could be sure that I'll be able to deliver when necessary. These days, let me tell you, what I will spend 1 hour fixing, today I will spend 3 hours.
Okay.
So, but I needed to ensure that it's well locked, so that there will not be an accident.
So you are taking sociology in 85.
But what I had then, you know what I had then, which was a very strong retentive memory, which I have less of now. But there is something I have today that I did not have there.
Yes, which is what happens.
So I have the experience today. If you ask me the question, the way I will answer that question, the majority of lecturers will just, in fact, let me just give him an A.
Case in point right now.
Because the idea is I will be determined to exceed expectations.
So I want to take you to retired but not tired. And that's because there are many people that approach retirement or getting old with fear, and they are unable to see something different in the horizon. You are someone that stepped out of accounting and then you decided, sociology, let's get back to school. You did not allow age or what were the things that went through your head, and what advice would you give somebody who is approaching 60 or approaching retirement and is worried about what the future holds?
Thank you very much for that question. Retirement. It is better if you anticipate it, plan it yourself, rather than allow retirement to retire one. I like that. You see, you have to be intentional about it. It doesn't have to come by chance. So I already knew that I would be retiring at this point in time, and I started discussing with my boss, my amiable boss, Tony Elumelu, and, you know, he understood with me. And there was a point he asked me, are you going to be okay financially?
Yes, he had a financial plan as well.
So you can see that he was particularly concerned, not just about the job. Of course, my job was such that there was nothing that happened in UBA, at least in the sphere of dispensation of money, that would not involve me. So, and I knew I could not afford to be frivolous. So he understood my personality. So when I told him I wanted to resign, he actually took it seriously with me. He understood me. So I planned for it, and I was tired of Lagos life. So I was already telling myself that, look, I'm going to just join the next bus to Ibadan. And then when I got there, it was not all about rest. I started resting, and I became over-rested. And illness started creeping in. And I looked at myself, what is going on? And I started visiting hospitals. You know, physiotherapy sessions, paying 5,000 naira per session. And it got to a time that the doctor said, please, can I have your history as far as career is concerned? When I told him, he said, no wonder. How can you just retire suddenly that way? So I now sat back, and I remember, why do people behave the way they behave? This is an inquiry that I have to now set forth to get. So 2017, I just went to University of Ibadan, and with my kid, who also wanted to enter the university then. And I think the first port of call was the Department of Psychology. We met a professor, I can't remember the name there, who told us that, oh, psychology, the emphasis is on the individual. But the way I'm listening to you, why do people behave the way they behave? You may be a natural sociologist. So that was how I was led to the sociology department. And I was made to understand that we will have to go through JAMB.
So you wrote JAMB?
Yes, I wrote JAMB.
You did.
I had thought that with my accounting certificate, I'll be given a direct admission. So Ibadan can be very conservative, and I'm very proud of that. So they made me understand that I will have to write JAMB. So I had to prepare. We went to Bere bookshop.
And you were reading? You and your son were reading together?
My daughter.
Your daughter?
Yes.
Oh, both of you were JAMB together?
For law. So we read together, we prepared hard. Along go for it. God favored the weak. So we got that admission, and you know.
Were you ever in class with her at any point?
Did we study any course together at any point in time in sociology? No. Because she, let me say, she spent 1 year somewhere else when she ought to have been in law. Otherwise, we will have been in classes like, in some of the classes, electives. We have been together in this class.
You went back, you studied sociology, and the question you've reiterated over and over again is, why do people behave the way they do? Now that you have started this journey, is it really for you to know? Is it do you want to apply it, you know, in some way, this knowledge that you have? Is this something you're looking to apply it as regards our country, or is this something you want to just know for yourself and your smaller community? What's the purpose?
Thank you very much. Initially, it was just to discover the answer to that question. Initially, as for being a lecturer, you know, when you have a passion for a thing, it's a completely different ball game. I remember I used to say that I could teach even without being paid. Gratuitous service. I mean, I took up teaching English to secondary school leavers, and I remember that I was collecting a peanut, 100 naira, from them, because I told them then that I would prove to them that English is the simplest subject in the world. Also, I started the Foresight grammarians, and I was producing students, and anytime I produced them for GCE, I will also write that GCE with them. So I've written like 11 times English. Wow. So some of them will make an A1, I will also make an A1. And a few of them will come back to me to say, so Baba, you can see that we are on the same level. You made an A1, I made an A1. So sociology, you know, understanding the way people behave, as a sociologist, you will appreciate people's differences and you respect their spaces. You can't come here to tell me that because an Igbo man ties wrapper, that therefore it's not right. Which parameters did you use? That tie wrapper is symbolic. We have something we call symbolic interactionism in sociology. It has a meaning and a lot of meaning to them. Wearing the red cap, it has a meaning. To the Yoruba man, it may not mean anything. Just as the ring means a lot to a married woman. So, I actually want to apply this knowledge, perpetuate my understanding of human beings, particularly my household first, my wives.
How many wives do you have?
Oh, I have 3 wives.
Really?
Yes.
And they live together in the same house or they're spread across Nigeria?
You have changed topic.
No, we just want to know. It's about him today.
Maybe you'll bring me back here. Yes. We are living together.
Oh, live together. Oh, fantastic. I'd love to interview that.
Have you back. You sound like a disciplinarian. You sound like a very strict man who, when you set your mind, when you make the rules, that authority, you don't need to talk much. Everybody falls
that kind of
in line.
Don't you dare.
You see, I am. Then, you know, I have to consciously water down hard lines, particularly when dealing with women.
Why? Why was that?
Oh, yes, when dealing with people who are not significant others to you. You can give instructions. When they fail to comply, you can apply sanctions. You can say, okay, you are sacked. You can't really sack your wife.
You should be in the theater too.
You see, and on many occasions, you know, when you look at the complexity, on many occasions, when you look at the complexity, you also have to be careful not to transfer the civil war at home to the place of work.
Yeah. So is there civil war at home?
The temperature will always be warm.
I love that.
The temperature will always be warm. And that was why I embarked on that topic, my project. Domestic violence in polygynous Muslim marriages.
I love it.
Because I know the way my house is, so I wanted to know whether there were things I was not doing right. Are people just doing impression management outside there? Because I know what I'm going through. You know, you have to apply carrots and sticks. You know, so handling women will not particularly appreciate you being overtly rigid. You have to be that persuasive, where you have to step, where you have to calm down.
So let me ask you this question. You combine multiple roles. You were a father. You had your child, one of your daughter in school with you.
2 of them.
2 of them in school with you. You have wives.
Multiple wives.
And you were also studying. So fatherhood, studying, being a husband, being a provider, all of that together, and you still came out in flying colors. What would you say were the key things that influenced or strengthened you so somebody watching can get inspired?
Yes, my sister here mentioned one. But the first one I will mention is that passion. You know, passion hardly dies.
They say it's overrated. Tell us about it.
No. Passion is not overrated. Because you are not going to really become self-actualized if you don't fulfill. It's like not fulfilling one's mission in life.
God bless you.
After reading that accounting, I thought that the course for me that will allow me to be flexible was management. So I picked up MSc in International Management from University of Liverpool, London. I realized that I was still not satisfied. I started the PhD program. Then I asked myself, is this actually asking my question? This is asking business questions. Leadership and organizational change. So I had to come back. So passion is number 1. The second one is discipline. And you know, with discipline, there are so many things that you have to compartmentalize. I knew that I had very little time. So I would spend that time very judiciously. While in school, I looked at free times. There was no time that was free to me. I was well known in the library. And weekends, all classes would be locked. I was not going also to become a burden to friendly lecturers. No, otherwise I could have asked them for the keys to their offices. I will not do that.
Respect.
When you come to the Faculty of Social Sciences, the car park, there are a lot of trees there. I actually took a table and a chair that I tied to the tree.
Yeah.
So on Saturdays or weekends, I will be there, I will study.
Wow.
And truly speaking, when you have very hard study for 3, 4, 5 hours, you'll be okay. I knew that going home, I will not be able to do anything. Oh, my wife will tell you, you have been away since, and you are here now. What else are you doing?
Sorry, we have very little time. It's not all the time we have a man that has 3 wives. You know, on our show. I'm not sure we've had one before. So it's good to have an insight. How do you manage that? I mean, to help men who are going to polygamy can learn from you that this is how Mr. Sanni was able to manage 3 wives. Because now that you are educated, you now know why people behave the way they do. Has it helped you now in managing these 3 different personalities in your house?
Even then, it is still tough. You know, one thing is knowing the principles. The other thing is applying those principles.
Yes.
Then who is the person you are going to apply?
Right.
I'm going to apply these principles to Auntie Morayo and they will work. I will apply them to you, they will not work. That is the subjective element of the human being. No one cap fits all. So you have to treat them individually. For instance,
and check your capacity.
Somebody will want to know, why are you even embarking on this? What is the outcome? So for such a person, it could be economic determinism. That if it's not going to bring money, so I don't know why you are wasting your time.
Exactly.
And you know, at times you may also be infringing on their rights. Because when you are supposed to be available, even though they are also not available themselves, they would like to tell you that why are you not always available? You are also away Monday to Saturday. Okay, but at night we can do whatever we need to do.
Is there a schedule for night?
Oh, usually there must be if you don't want chaos. And that schedule must be respected. And they must also be carried along. If you want it one day, so be it. If somebody says and whispers to your ears,
give me 2 days.
That does not allow us
How does
to do any planning.
favoritism work in
Because
that?
when I enter your room today or you enter my room today, I may have a hangover that I would like to discuss with you when you next come. So this one day will not work. You will find a way of selling that idea to others. You persuade them so that they buy in. So that you do 2 days.
We need to bring him back. We need to bring masterclass on polygamy.
Because, as I said, we don't have guests like you all the time. So we like to have that is knowledgeable, that is mature, that has done it successfully. We need that information because lots of people are suffering in polygamy. They don't know how to handle it, but it's good to hear from you. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up.
I wish we could sure.
And you know, I have no regrets. Going into polygyny. It's not polygamy. Polygyny. Polygyny when a man marries more than one wife. Okay. Polyandry when a woman marries more than one husband. And polygamy now is the father. Polygamy is either when a man takes multiple wives or when a woman takes multiple husbands. Polygamy. The polygyny,
that's the definition. Polygyny, a man, polyandry, a woman.
Nice.
We are being schooled.
We are being schooled. Thank you. That is successful.
Well done, sir.
Good to have you on the show. We hope to bring you back soon. Hopefully our producers will bring you back. We'll have a full show on polygyny, how to manage a successful polygynous relationship.
Even fatherhood.
And fatherhood.
That would be really interesting.
Be happy to
a lot of people are engaged me to do that for them. And I do.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. It was a pleasure having you. That's all we can take on today's show. Hope you learned a few things as we have. Have a
Many things.
We did. Tomorrow. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. Do you struggle with having an active and healthy lifestyle due to your busy schedule? Do you find it's difficult to make it to the gym? You want to improve your overall health, but don't know where and how to start? Medical experts agree that walking, running, and jogging are amongst the best ways to stay fit and enjoy a great active and healthy lifestyle. What if there was a convenient and affordable way to improve your